We're gonna give you the keys that you need to a better start in the sprint, and we're gonna start right now. Let's think about doing a 10-yard sprint or a 40-yard dash, something along those lines. We've got to focus on, one, the technique, the position that we're going to be in. Two, we have to think about how twitchy can we be coming out of that position. And then three, for that good start, we've got to have that 0 step 1, 2, 3. Okay, those are the main factors, and we've got to master that. It's a technique that has strength incorporated. So we have to master the technique. We have to master the ability to express impulse, and that requires using strength and using reflexive movements, using strength movements so that we can actually run faster. And we've got Big L here, the sports performance version of Big L, which I didn't even realize this, but I had worn this shirt today, and Legend's the one who actually gave me this. And Legend is our speed instructor here at Garage Strength. And so what we want to do now, Legend, I need you to educate me on, if we're going to a combine, I want you to show me how would I start if I'm getting my 10 tested or if I'm getting my 40 tested. Give us the technical position, show me how you would come out of the block right away, and then how you would execute like that 0 to the 3 steps.
All right, so to make it really simple, I'll just put it into 3 steps. So imagine this thicker piece of tape is my line, right? Toes on the line, you wanna take a foot step back, all right? And then just drop that back knee, I'll do this leg, down to about where the heel is. Now that's like a really simple, like 30-second description on how to get the footing set up for the starting line, right? So after we get the footing set up and we can change this back leg a little bit, this front leg should be around the same, about a foot length from the line. We're gonna set up with the upper body long and then work back into it. So we want the most weight possible on this front leg loaded so that we can spring forward and cover as much distance as possible. So after I get my footing, I take a step back, I drop this back knee to about halfway in my foot or halfway to the heel. I start with my hands forward in front of the line. This is my imaginary line here. My hands are in front of it. I'm gonna walk back. And when we're sprinting, we always have opposites, right? So my right leg's forward, obviously the left arm is forward. So I'm walking back, I set up my opposite hand forward, and your hand's gotta be, you know, some places have different rules, either on the line or behind. So I'm just gonna do behind the line here, like a sprinter stance with the hand. And when I'm ready, my legs are here. I'm gonna do a 3 count in my head and go, all right? But when I raise my hand, I'm thinking about my upper body angle is similar to this front shin angle. All right, so if I switch it, just so you can see, my shin angle is low, it's steep, and so is my upper body angle, it's similar.
So as you come out, you're projecting the chest with that chin angle?
Yeah, I'm projecting with that shin angle here. So we don't want it too steep to where we're here, going too low, but we want it almost similar to that, all right? So when I project out, all I'm focusing on is this front leg fully extending. So if I imagine my ankle, my knee, and my hip extension, this is extension, this is flexion, I want full extension, all right? So here we go, we're gonna break it down 3 steps. Step back, drop the knee, that's 1. 2, arms forward, we walk it back, and we front load that front leg as much as possible. And then step 3, we extend off that front leg as much as possible.
So when you take your first, let's say, drive, 1, 2, 3, what are you thinking about at that point?
So the first step is fully extending out.
Okay.
That's all you're really thinking about. And when we extend out, it's not necessarily my upper body angle is parallel to the ground. You want full extension with your whole body. So I'm here. So if I had a line from my head down to my foot, I'm like here.
Okay.
So once I'm off the start, I'm almost like at this point.
Right.
After you get
Why
the
can't you
full
demonstrate
distance,
that right now in slow motion for us?
all right. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna demonstrate. Here, actually, let me do the opposite, so you can see the full leg.
I want to see you do this. I'm excited.
It's gonna be so beautiful. So here.
So you usually start the other way, right?
I usually start with my other.
Okay, so this will be a little awkward, but let's see it. Okay. So it's almost like you project, and then as that cycle comes through, your chest, he's not coming up like this.
Yeah.
His chest is going forward. For me, it almost looks like a plane taking off, and then you just slowly rise after probably 4, 5, 6 strides.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you look at like the sprinters when they race, it's like that first step is like boom, and then they just cycle underneath.
Right.
Yeah. So that first step is boom, as long as you can, and then just getting each of those steps like right underneath the hip.
And I'm sure, I did want to bring this up, I'm sure there's going to be some kid who's like 10th grade, he's like, well, what about a low hill recovery? I think that's like stuff we've got to think about, and we can do a whole nother video on that in the future.
Yeah.
But the way you broke that down to me is very, very simple, is a foot back, basically. So if you have a size 12 shoe, use your shoe.
Yeah, use a shoe.
Put your back knee at the heel, set your hands, walk them back, get that tension set.
Yeah, get the tension
and
set,
then
and then just
be
take
exploded.
off on that first step, and then boom, cycle underneath.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty simple. And for me, I guess this is where, one, we got to do a better job of this on site at Garage Strength. But I mean, you and T do a good job, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you credit
We
on
do
this.
okay.
Is that, I was thinking more so for me personally, is that if we have someone like Big L, who is the speed dude, he's also a savage discus thrower, got 5th at the Olympic trials. If we have someone like a speed guy at your gym or at your high school, it's trying to link the speed work with what you're going to be doing with resistance-based training. So in the weight room, like the typical strength work. Yeah. And I think one thing that you had even pointed out there was like, you get set, this is a 30-second run through on how you get set, but then you can change things based off of where you're weak or where you're not comfortable.
Exactly.
And for me, I immediately started to think about like, if we could figure out how long someone's legs are or how short someone's legs are, that's how we could train them with specific exercises to improve this. And so I want to give you 3 exercises, or show you 3 exercises.
All right.
And see what you think about it based off of positional work in the beginning, the twitchiness of the start, and then the stride work coming out of it. Yeah. So let's start with that first key exercise. So I'm going to show Legend here a movement that I actually just showed him. But I want to see what he thinks about this. So we're going to do 2 variations. We're going to do a skater squat to a box. One issue, and I was thinking about, I was a D lineman. I did play arena football for a year.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow, you're the best athlete here.
One thing that I would have problems with, because I was fat, was in starting like a 10 or a 40.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I do have longer legs, I'd always sort of get into that position and be like, I don't feel comfortable. Yeah. And I think this movement could alleviate some of those issues. So if we could have someone do like a skater squat here and then practice coming forward, okay? And this box could be high, it could be a little bit lower depending on the ability. Boom, okay? So that could be an easy strength movement, getting comfortable and almost trying to get this so that my back knee is in line with my heel. Now, one thing I wanted to bring in as a variation was this, is like playing around with, you will be more plantar flex coming out. So I'd be here, trying to keep that heel elevated here. Boom. Okay, so I come back, and ideally I would have more stability there. I'm here, boom. Okay, so one more. So I would like to get to the point where I'm not falling all over the place, but I could be here. I want to keep this flexion here tight, feel that quad, boom, okay? So it's a slower movement, but you're just getting comfortable in that deep position.
Yeah, it puts it all on that front leg. You have to.
Right, exactly. And I think that's something, especially when you get better at it, you can add in the slant board, lower the box, raise the box, depending on how well the kid projects themselves. And then that's gonna help. I would, for something like that, I'd say you do 4 sets of 4, 4 sets of 5, get comfortable, and that's gonna help you in that start position. While we were off camera, Legend wanted to try this, and I would say,
I just got myself. Read it.
I would say, Legend, of course, because he's an overachiever, wants to go right into the slant board. You don't have to go right into the slant board, but I think if Jason, if you could come over here too, you can get a decent angle of him coming off of that position, because I think you'll be able to see the projection too. So it's like getting comfortable there, and then it's big drive, keep that heel up, boom, good, yeah, there.
I gotta keep that heel up.
Yeah.
On the back foot.
Yeah, back foot, heel up. Yes, good. And so if you have athletes that, and this would even, if you have somebody who does, let's say on a shuttle, good, that back foot went down a hair.
It did touch it. I want one more, because I gotta do it without it touching.
And you actually, yeah, that's good. You actually come forward with that chest projecting. The other thing I wanted to bring up is that I think the important part too is to make sure you're doing both sides, because it will transfer to your strides when you're sprinting, but also to your shuttle start as well. You can get good agility, strength from doing this to both sides in essence. So now we're gonna get into that second key exercise to help you guys. Now, this movement I was thinking is an exercise to help projecting that big time overcoming strength that you need coming out.
Yeah, that straight power out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second exercise that I wanted to go over, I'm gonna give you a couple variables and I think, or variations. I think ultimately doing like a 1-box power clean or a 2-box power clean is probably the best for that first boom, go. That first big, and we refer to this as blast impulse, like you're going right away. I did want to get a little more creative because I'm such a diehard with O-lifts, is that I'm gonna give an option here that anybody could do even if you've never done a weightlifting exercise. And if you haven't done a power clean or a 2-box power clean or hang clean, I recommend go download Peak Strength, head over to peakstrength.app, go to the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store, pick that up today so you can learn those movements so that you can attain that peak strength. Now, I'm gonna get into a pause squat, and you don't have to have a slant board, okay? One reason why I do like the slant board is because what it does to my shin angle. And if we refer back to what Legend had said in the beginning about getting set, setting the shin angle, and then going 1, 2, 3, go.
Go. Yeah.
I immediately in my mind was like, Legend's gonna cue me on this lift. And it's like on the eccentric, I can go 1, 2, and then I get to the bottom on 3, and then you say go, and I come up, yeah. So that's where I think this would be a nice movement. Maybe you got like 70% of your best back squat, or even 60% of your best back squat. You do this on impulse day. So if you're in peak strength, you could do this on impulse day, day 4. And the main focus is moving that as fast as you can. So I go 1, 2, 3.
Oh, boom, blast. 2, 3,
go. One more.
1, 2, 3,
go.
There.
Okay. So I think that to me is something that could help athletes get stronger and think about moving that heavy weight fast, and that's going to transfer really well that first step. So now let's get into that third pairing, which we'll get into, and I think this is where you can make up a lot of ground, because essentially 0, 1, 2, 3. If you have very, very good setup on the first couple of strides, that's going to set up the remainder of your race or of your test. So we're gonna give you the next 2 exercises, contrast method, that you can use to improve your overall sprint start. Okay, so the next exercise, Legend just told me he doesn't want to do because he did 315 for like a set of 5 on each leg like 3 days ago.
Yeah,
so
I'm a little sore.
A little fatigued. When we were talking about this earlier, I just kept thinking about, okay, what's the strength movement and what might be some type of plyometric or speed movement that we can use, referring to the steps now, the actual strides, and especially hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, really setting up that race. Also interesting, if you look at like the best 100-meter sprinters from last year's World Championships, you can actually break down their splits. You can go on World Athletics and look at their splits every 10 meters, and then you can also watch the film and see who's setting up with their strides early, because it will pay off around the 70, 80 meter mark. And it's the same thing with the 40, around the 30, 35, 40. It actually happens probably around the 25-yard mark. Sorry, I like to think about that stuff. But one of the things that we were also just talking about off camera before we show you this strength exercise is that I've always felt as though personally it was easy for me to just do the strength movements and do plyometrics, but then I'd get on the track or the field and I'd be flailing all over the place. I'm already running with my toes out because that's how I already run.
Yeah.
And one thing that I brought up to Legend is that Legend's very technically minded, and I think that I think that when you understand, you can drop time just by fixing your technique.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to gain strength yet.
Yeah.
So it's pay attention to what he talked about in the beginning as you implement that stuff. Okay, so that's enough of my rant. We're gonna do an unbroken set of single leg squats on each leg. And in this case, I typically would say the further you are out from a peak, from your combine test, I would do your weak leg first. The closer you get to your combine test, do your strong leg first, because that's how you're gonna be actually starting. But we wanna make sure that there's not a huge disparity between both legs, which is why we do a unilateral squat like this. So we'll get in, I'll get set, okay. I'm here. And I like to have that first one just be a little bit more controlled and like focus, and then get after it. Here. And the interesting part there, even when I just hit that right side, my right glute right here and into my quad, like through my TFL almost and into my quad, I could feel lighten up. And that is my weak side. So it's feeling that and then being able to transfer that and train that as we get into this plyometric drill that now Legend's got to demonstrate perfectly. So we hit the unbroken single leg squats over there for triple, fast, boom, boom, boom. We're gonna rest about 1.5 to 2 minutes, and we're gonna do what we call Gwiz jumps. So we're gonna start with that basically that skater squat position that we showed you earlier. And then we're gonna get into mini hurdle hops. So you can go jump from that, Legend will jump from that right leg, land on his right leg and go through, and then do his left leg. And after he hits that up, I just give us what you think about technique-wise and how you can improve your jumps with the technique that we talked about in the beginning. Good. And so the other cool thing is, I was just thinking this, is Legend is a little cold, it's the early morning, he hasn't warmed up yet, so these aren't that far apart. But to time that stride or to get the strides down, I think what a lot of people don't think about, and this is what I was referring to with the 100, is that 100-meter sprinters know how many strides they're taking a race. And doing something like this can help that happen in the 40, in the 100, where you're actually timing it properly so you get that point.
Yeah, super consistent.
It's no different than throwing a discus.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Technique, the same thing over and over again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and with this is like the same thing as that start. Super front loaded, even more with this drill than with a normal start. Because with this back foot up, you have to put all that load on this front leg. So if you're uncomfortable there, you're gonna, learn how to develop that force for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and getting that preload step helps, almost like a death drop, like get that energy into that leg so you can feel that explosiveness even more. Because I think a common mistake is you're just here and then you just push off. Whereas with the Gwiz jump, get that preload step and then push off for those next steps. So
yeah, because even when you start in the sprint, you will, I know you're not doing that, but you will have tension set.
You'll have that tension.
Yeah.
But with the skater squat, you're just kind of like going down and up. With that Gwiz jump, it feels way better, like with the explosive range. Getting here and then exploding off.
Yeah.
For each of those steps.
Right. Show me your left leg.
All right, here we go. I'll be good now.
Oh, a little slower on that.
A little slower.
The jumps were good, but it was a little slower.
Out the gate.
And I think that just shows too, it's like figuring out where the weakness is, and that's the big thing with doing strength movements, and that's where if you've got some speed guy or speed coach that can help with the strength training as well. I think that's the big thing that we've got going in the back with you and Taman, is that you guys see the athletes that we've got, and you can see, all right, this is the speed work that we need to focus on. This is the strength work that supplements the speed, or vice versa, depending upon the athlete. And that's the other thing, is like, you might have athletes that are big, huge monsters and they're really strong, but they don't have this.
Right.
Or you might have somebody who has this, but they're getting pancaked because they're too small.
Exactly.
Insert Javen Williams destroying D-back. So head over to peakstrength.app, head to the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. Big L, thanks for doing this. Pick up Peak Strength today so that you can start that journey to attaining your peak strength. Until next time, freaks, peace.